Hey YouTube, how's it going? Kevin Cleary with today's video. Today I want to talk a little about cost and value and have a bit of a discussion about, hey, imagine that someone says to you, I want to buy a good knife, how much should I put aside? What I would probably do in that situation is tell them about some knives and what their features are and what they cost and kind of help them make up their mind. But really, what you'd want to know first off is, like, what are you going to do with it? Right? What to you, what does a good knife mean? Right? That may mean that it's a certain size, that it's a certain weight, that it has certain properties. Maybe you want a knife that will just never rust, and so you want certain kind of steels that you want to be looking at. How long of a blade do you want? What do you know about the industry? Some people, if you're watching this video and you're one of my subscribers and you ask, well, I'm going to assume you know a fair bit about knives and about the industry. And so, something like this may not be exactly what you're looking for. Maybe you're more interested in something like this or, something like this. And so it depends on what, by the way, I would consider all of these good knives. And this is a Rat 1, an S51 or an S571 from Real Steel and a Manix 2XL. But I would say, you've got to ask some follow-up questions. Now, having sort of established what this person is kind of looking for, then I would make this argument. And I want to, I think you can see some legitimacy here if you'll bear with me for a second. I would suggest this, that in pretty well every price range, there are good knives. Okay, maybe you would exclude, I don't know, some really low price ranges, but even, for a $5 or $6 or $7 or $10 knife, there are probably some good knives that are worth, that have really good value for money. Okay, I think there's a couple guys who've done the $5 Walmart knife or the $5 Lowe's knife, and they've reviewed it and seen how it compared to something much nicer or much more expensive. But for our purposes, to simplify this out a little bit, I'll kind of go through some price ranges and just think about the fact that, or try to demonstrate the fact that there are some good knives. So even, let's start with $30. And so I'm going to call it the $30 price range, and really I mean something between $20 and $40, okay? So the $30 price range, there are tons of good, useful, reliable knives. There's stuff from CRKT, there's stuff from Spyderco, so the Bird line, the Bird Raven or Bird Caracara, Spyderco the Tenacious is a little more than that. Rat 1, Rat 2, both excellent knives, especially with the D2 offering that's out there right now. Buck Vantage Select, Ka-Bar Dozer, Kershaw's, there's a bunch of them. Certainly the Kershaw Scrambler was a good one. The Kershaw Nura, right, it's a cool design, and it's, very functional. And I think the 3.5 inch, they kind of keep lowering the price. I don't know if not that many sold or what, but everyone has that knife on sale, so you can get it for a really good price right now. So those are a bunch of examples of, good knives. I should have been showing you some knives. So here's a couple of great examples of that $30 price range. This is a Real Steel H6, and this is a Ontario Rat Model 1. Okay, both really good knives, highly recommended, highly reliable, and I think they would serve you well. Now move up to the $50 price range, and I don't have much, but I do have that limited edition Rat 1. I'll just show you this to remind you of it. There is a carbon fiber laminate Rat 1 for about $50. A number of cold steel. Now this is the Recon 1 in CTSX HP. It's not $50, but there are some cold steels in that price point, especially some of the older ones with the AUS-8 steel that you can pick up for a great price. And you could wiggle this more. Now I think the Tenacious would come in sort of at the bottom end of this price range. A Delica you might pick up, if you say $50, go $40 to $60. You can maybe pick up a Delica. A bunch of Kershaws, Kershaw Blur, Kershaw Camber, CRKT Fossil, Kershaw Knockout, all great blades all around that price range, and very well done. Now the knockout may be a little higher than that. Maybe you'd have to put it into the $70 price range or whatever. And so I think you guys are starting to see my point. Now, if you move up to the $100 price range, again, now now this Recon One kind of comes into play. Now, Spyderco Military for $120. The Cold Steel, American Lawman and Ultimate Hunter. Those are all in that price range. The Buck 830 Marksman, that's a phenomenal knife from Buck Knives. Spyderco Endura. So tons of knives at that $100 price range. All of the if you go up to 120, you get into all of the Spyderco 2s like the Yojimbo 2, the Manix 2, the Paramilitary 2. Okay, so a bunch of good knives. Now beyond that, you start to there's a few knives around 140. You'd get into, but when you get past. When you get past, you get up to the 150 mark, and now you're kind of maxing out. You're not going to get much better in terms of steel. You're not going to get much better in terms of materials. And you can even do really, so a knife like this, I would say this is a great knife. I would actually, as a user, I would recommend this to most people. It's well built. It's going to be it's durable. Now it's a little thin at the tip because it's a full flat grind, but if you know how to use a knife, and if you care even a little bit about pay even a little bit of attention to how you care for it, this would serve you really well. Now these are all over the place for like 130, zero tolerance, 0200. So again, now this is a bit heavy for some people, but that goes back to the questions at the beginning. How much do you want to pay out here? Manix 2 XL is a favorite of mine, and it's around I think the satin version you can get for around 120, and these I think are around 140. Okay, so now once you hit that 120 to 140 or 150, there are like scads of knives, like tons and tons. It's sort of like that $40 price range where there were just too many to think of. Same with the higher price range there. Oh yeah, you could even, this would fall into, I think these are like 115 brand new or something. So this would be in that category as well. They might be 120, I'm not sure. But still, that's in the BD1 steel. So my point again is, as we kind of work our way up and start thinking about good knives in pretty much every price range, move up a little higher and you're into ZTs. A lot of the new ZTs especially, they have really tried to land between $200 and $300. So you get sort of the 220, 240, and 280. They seem to shoot for those particular price points, and that's what they seem to use with their map pricing. This one, I think when these were brand new, the 0560s, they were $3 something. But they've come down considerably now, and you can pick these up for less. Especially, there's tons of them out there. So secondary market may be a good option for a 0560 if that was really what you were looking for. Now, and I think all of these knives that I've shown you, now, by the way, when we get past we get to that $100 mark, you're looking at a bunch of Cold Steels, and they're really, really good. Now, though, we pass that up into 300, and you can even go further, right? I don't have my Southern Talc, but I've got a couple of higher end things to show you. Someone wanted a dressier, finer finish knife. Very, very few knives that I know of are going to compete with the Reate Knives Torrent, just for performance, for materials, for price. Great option. If they're into something, if they want something a little different, we could even go into a custom knife factory. Here's the Sequoia, and now we're kind of in mid-tech range, and there are tons of really nice, really cool mid-tech knives out there, and that would be more for the, let's say, the discerning person, and really a lot of, I think a lot of us, it is true that a lot of mid-techs are going to collectors, right? But there are still quite a number of people out there who make a decent income and say, look, I already carry a firearm, I spent $1,000 on that. If I'm going to carry a knife, it's going to be a good quality knife. And so there are lots of guys out there that are commissioning knives, that are buying, Hinderers and Sebenzas and stuff for their EDC knife, something that they're going to use from day to day. So my point in the video is this. Every price range you could think of, all the way from 40 up to 400 and 500, 600, 700 as well. I just don't have any of those knives. There'd be great knives in every one of those price ranges, okay? And maybe, if you were really particular, by the time you get to $600, $700, $800, now you're in custom knife territory, and you can have something really suited to you because you could talk to the maker and tell them, this is how I want this to go together, this is some of the features I might like, or whatever. So here's what I would say. So now that you're totally flabbergasted and you're like, look, now I have no idea what to spend, here's what I would suggest. I would suggest, do some research. Figure out what it is that you want. Do you have a favorite brand? Do you have a favorite style? Do you have a particular blade shape or blade size or handle size or whatever that you like? Go to Bass Pro and get them to, pull out all the different knives for you and hold it and kind of feel what it's like. Probably don't buy it there. They don't have the greatest prices, but what I mean is go to a place where you can try a lot of knives. Now, if you want, if you're lucky enough to live near Knife Works or Blade HQ or one of those, hey, go in, try out a bunch of stuff. But figure out what you want, what's comfortable for you, what you're going to carry every day. Then you can make a budget. Okay, and here's what I would suggest about this. I would suggest in almost any budget, let's say you came to me and said, Kevin, I've got $70 to spend. What are some good knife options? Well, I could probably give you a bunch, right? I've got $100 to spend. I've got $500 to spend. It doesn't matter what sort of price point you're aiming at. Certainly, and I think I've just demonstrated, there are great knives in all of those price ranges. So really it becomes a matter of you kind of figuring out what it is you want, what you want to spend, and then you can fill in that category. And by the way, you may notice that a lot of knife retailers have those options. You can go right into their search settings and say, look, I'm looking for a knife with a blade length of this size in this price range, hit enter, and there you go. You'll have all of those options available to you. And so tons of great knives. I think I mentioned this is the Sequoia. Just very, very fast, let's back up as we go through the knives we've talked about. Custom Knife Factory Sequoia, around that $400 price point. Reate Knives Torrent, around that $400 price point. What else did I have next? ZT 0560. This is the Blackwash version, around the $250 price point. Backing up from there, we'd probably hit the Manix, which goes right now for around $140. The Real Steel S571, again, just past $100. Zero Tolerance 0200, another great knife. I think they're all over the place for about $130 right now. Cold Steel, and there's a bunch of, Recon 1 you can get in different blade shapes, different colors even right now. Those are limited edition, the colors, so they won't be around forever, but for now they're widely available. You can even do other options, the Ultimate Hunter or the American Lawman or something like that. Let's see, then as we move, I guess since we're on that little Cold Steel kick, something big like the Raja 2 is a fun knife. And then there's lots of great budget blades. I mean, tons of great budget blades. One of my favorites right now is, of course, the H6 from Real Steel. You guys have seen this one before. Mostly I like these because of the blade steel, the 14C28N. Ontario Rat Model 1. There's also a Rat 2 if you wanted something smaller. So there you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. I tried to share a bunch of knives with you, and we will talk to you soon.